Things just took a shocking turn heading into the remainder of preseason as Jim Montgomery spoke on multiple players fighting for a spot within this defensive group that has fans shocked as who was expected to start the year there is changing rapidly. We're going to break down these two players, quotes from Jim Montgomery on both players, and why one player is looking to come out victorious to take over a spot on the Blues main roster. We're going to break down all this and so much more later on this episode. Before we get into that, I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone, to the 53.3% watching this. If you haven't hit the sub button yet, but you want to stay up to date on everything to do around the St. Louis Blues, make sure to go down and hit that free subscribe button. It helps a bunch, and in return, we'll give you daily updates from around the team. But with that, Darius, let's just dive straight into this, where we know there's a lot of roster changes coming to this team. We have new faces joining. There's a lot of people being sent back to their respected leagues. We know the season is close. The Blues tweeted breaking news: we play hockey this month. That counts, of course, because the Blues have kind of sucked in the preseason. But the biggest thing is there's one position on this team that's getting very interesting, and that is the defensive spot. Now, we do get quotes coming from Jim Montgomery, and listen, go check out Jimmy Rutherford as well. He does great work on the St. Louis Blues, but we can see the quote that everything is a battle. It's training camp. We know what our top six is going to look like. We know what our top eight is going to look like. But the seventh defensive spot does get a little interesting. Now, we know Matthew Kessel played a lot in the seventh spot last season. We get quotes coming from Jim on him as well. He's had really good moments last night. I thought he was really good red line in. I thought red line back, there was times he could have made more assertive plays. That's been Kessel's issue, why he's been in and out of the lineup. He's a great kid. He's working on it. Now, Darius, what is your initial thoughts on just Matthew Kessel? And listen, we're going to touch on the second guy very soon, but just Jim Montgomery saying that maybe the kid's not being assertive enough and that he needs to be to secure this spot.
Yeah, and this doesn't mean that he's going to lose that spot. Like you mentioned, he had this spot last year, but this could just be a wake-up call from the coach saying, hey, I need you to do these things in these areas. And he just so happens to be saying it out loud and to the media. So it could be a bit of a wake-up call that like, hey, listen, we're in the final stretch here. We got a couple games in the preseason left before the regular season starts. You might not be in the lineup in the regular season to start, but, you don't want to lose your spot, be sent down, anything like that, right? And then over the course of a season, they just traded for Logan Mailloux. Obviously, Tyler Tucker is going to be, relied upon those two guys to play full time, but injuries happen. Those guys haven't played full NHL seasons yet. So this actually does have major implications for the team to figure out who's going to be the sixth or seventh defenseman on any given night. So it's going to be very interesting to see where, Matthew Kessel ends up. And another guy who we're going to get to as well is making a very, very good impression to maybe take that spot. So for my money still, I think Matthew Kessel still has a lot left to give. And I think that he is going to do that with this wake-up call at this point. And like Jim Montgomery was saying, again, he does a lot of really good things all over the ice, but he needs to be a little bit more assertive. And I think that could come with, I'm not saying that Matthew Kessel, and I don't want to speak for him, is, comfortable, but there could be a sense of that. Like, I've been around, I was with the team last year. I was a seventh defenseman, maybe he's a little bit comfortable in that way. Whereas other guys are like, I have to fight for this. I want this job. And I'm trying to steal it away from Kessel. So pretty interesting stuff there. We still have, a little bit left before the regular season starts, although it is just a couple days away at this point. Around the league. So it's going to get interesting, but I do think that he could use this as a bit of a wake-up call, add different elements to his game, and hopefully secure that spot because he was great last year. I think that he should still be, with and around the team as that seventh defenseman.
And I mean, the big thing is Jim Montgomery said to himself, he looked at Snuggerud and said, don't buy an apartment yet. You have not cracked the lineup. This is a very open camp. We've seen a lot of people come in. It's been competitive. We thought Carbonell would go further, but he still fought for spots. Stenberg's still around. Dvorsky's been playing well. This team has been super competitive, and Kessel going into the final year, and we're going to break down the UFA group in a bit, but the big thing with Matthew Kessel, we're starting to see a lot of competition coming from someone else in particular. Now, speaking on Hunter Skinner, he said he's been a good training camp. I like how assertive he is. He's assertive physically. He's taking away time and space. He's not afraid to hold on to the puck and make a play. That's confidence is nice to see in a young defenseman. He's a good prospect for us. Now, the big thing with Hunter coming over in a trade from the New York Rangers, we know that he hasn't broken into the NHL just yet. Having a good year in the AHL, putting up 23 points in 71 games. Well, what is your initial thoughts on just looking where we see Jim say, hey, listen, one player players not being assertive, but Hunter has been super assertive. Do you think that kind of puts the favor towards the young defenseman getting into his first NHL action?
Yeah, I think it's very possible for a couple of reasons. When you look at, what he's been able to do this preseason, like Jim Montgomery saying, he's very assertive. He seems hungry, like he wants it, right? And I think when you're looking at the six guys that are going to be starting in a lineup, right? I feel like it's a bit solidified at this point for the St. Louis Blues, and it would be really hard to crack into that if you didn't have NHL experience. If you're playing really well, it would still be very difficult to crack in there because, a coach, especially Jim Montgomery, he knows how to utilize younger players, but he does like that experience. Every coach wants that NHL experience in the lineup, but that's not the case here. He's not necessarily trying to crap into that, top six there. He's just trying to get like a spot on the roster, maybe as a seventh defenseman play every now and then. So I think it might be a little bit easier in that way where the coach is like, maybe we will reward him by keeping him around in that way, right? Where he is maybe playing a little bit more assertive and maybe a little bit better than Matthew Kessel. So I think it could be different in that way. If it was like you're fighting for that sixth spot and it's between two guys, I think they go with the NHL experience over anything else at this point. So that's not the case. So clearly he's made a really good impression. Yeah, I wouldn't say he's, playing light years ahead of Kessel or anything like that, but I do think that Jim Montgomery is taking all of that into consideration and saying he's not going to play every night anyway. He's not going to be in the lineup right away. Probably won't even start the season, anything like that. But what if he's around the guys? That could be really valuable experience for a guy who is hungry and then can make an impact in the future. So pretty interesting there. And I think the quote was pretty telling too, that he did mention, he's going to be a good prospect for us, all of these things, or he is a good prospect for us. And some of the language he was using, I do still think it's swaying towards Kessel, but I think it's a bit of a wake up call to Kessel. Like, hey, your spot is not safe here. Like there's guys that want your job. And we will give it to them if they're playing better than you and they show that they're a little bit more hungry. So I think it's pretty interesting in that way, and we'll see how everything kind of plays out. But again, I think that the defense, to me at least, is solidified opening night at this point. It's exactly what's pictured here, as you can see. But I think as the season goes on, the next couple of games, like these guys, especially in the bottom of the lineup, probably won't play all 82 games, whether it's injury or just, stylistically, they'll swap certain guys in. So it'll be interesting to see where everything falls, but interesting quotes from Jim Montgomery.
And I mean, the big thing is you're having two guys, both right-handed defensemen, which is awesome. Seeing them come through, and when you're getting a boatload of right-handed defensemen, it's making the organization just in a better spot. But I think the biggest thing is you got two guys fighting. They're not fighting for the 6th, 7th spot. They're fighting for the 7th spot on this team. So it does get interesting. Listen, Hunter is on a one-year deal right now. The UFA group as well, and just breaking that down, you can look at it. If they play under 80 games before hitting free agency, or if they are 25 years old, they'll go into UFA instead of an RFA. You can pause and read through. But the big thing with two of these players, Darius, we know they're not going to join this team as an immediate force onto the defensive pair, but having the extra defensemen that are fighting for the spot, that are hungry for it, makes the camp competitive. But what is your guys' thoughts on this? What is your thoughts? Would you put Matthew Kessel? Is it Hunter Skinner? Let us know down in the comments. And speaking of comments, let's go straight in the comments of the day. Speaking on it, we do see Corey say, I've been a fan for 26 years, and I've never been more excited for the Blues than I am now. Not only for the season, but moving forward into the future. Let's go Blues. And listen, if you're excited for the Blues, you can catch all the news here on Blues Digest. Go down and leave a comment on anything you want to see us talk about, or what you thought on this video. You could be featured on comments of the day. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back in another episode, so keep right for that. But I've been your host, Mark, with my co-host, Darius, and take care, Blues fans.